death pact in BFB sure does exist, alright. Other than BFB 4 and maybe BFB 7, the only thing that they ever did was do the challenge, win early on or get second to last, and then move on to another team. That's it. A bunch of characters on this team during this time were either extremely popular or just boring as hell. And 3 characters come to mind when I say that second option: Bottle, Pillow, and what this video is all about, Pie. Look, I thought it was funny, and that's the only thing that matters. So before I begin, I'll tell you how I'm going to do this. I'll run through every single season of the show to find out how Pie led to her boringness. So without further ado, let's get started with... I mean, she exists, I could give her that. I genuinely cannot find a single thing that Pie did in Season 1. She was a recommended character, was put up for the debut, didn't debut, and that's all there is to her. Yeah, I'm starting to realize that this video might be a lot shorter than it is. But hey, that means I can post this before the YouTube AI thing comes. Okay, let's just move on to BFDI. There's actually not that much to talk about her this season. Yeah, shocker, I know. In BFDIA 1, she doesn't get enough votes to join the season, so she gets sent to the LOL. In BFDIA 13, she gets her first piece of dialogue. It took almost 3 years, but hey, it was worth it. We haven't seen much of her as a BFDIA 22, and honestly, I think that's intentional. Then there's IDFB, which I don't want to rewatch the episode, so I'll just say that she doesn't do anything in it. They might do something with her this season. Maybe she could befriend people like Tree and Black Hole throughout the season, since they all want to prevent death. It would make the death prevention thing in BFB a little bit smoother. And now, we get into Pie's first real season, that being... Okay, mic audio is back to normal, thank God. Moving on to Pie's first competing season, where she... It is still boring. I feel like they could have done something interesting with her this season, though. But don't worry, I'll get there when I get there, I hope, I think, yeah. From BFB 1 to 9, there really isn't that much to talk about here. It genuinely shocks me that Pie wasn't eliminated over Lai in BFB 5. But then, in BFB 7, something happens. Remote ends up setting a bomb to a better name than that, and in BFB 10, once Remote is recovered, Black Hole and Pie are noticeably upset at her. Then in the following episode, Pie ends up winning the challenge for her team after preventing death, in which Black Hole says this.
See, we could trust her. One day you'll be that good at preventing death.
There is so much potential with this scene. Maybe Remote can either learn how to prevent death, or just go full on lie mode and kill people for the sake of killing people. And before you ask, yes, I did copy this idea from Derpy Doofus. All I'm saying is that in BFB 10 and 11, they could have done something interesting with her. But nope, she does barely anything from episodes 12 to the split. And that's it for BFB. Definitely a lot more interesting than the previous 3 seasons, but still really boring. Anyways, let's move on to the final chapter of Pie's story. Finally, we have the biggest season in the entire show. What will the writers do with her? Will she have some interesting plot points with DPA? Or maybe she could be introduced with the whole Fanny and Black Hole arc. Oh, I'm just so excited. Okay, elephant in the room, she gets first boot. I honestly think this was better, to be honest, because every other member of DPA, except for Remote, went on to do something interesting. However, though, she barely did anything despite having so much potential. Maybe one day she can reunite with Fanny and she could tell her about the whole truce they did in TPOT 10. But overall, Pie's an extremely boring character. While I don't mind seeing her again, I will only mind seeing her if she actually does anything interesting for once. However, there's one thing throughout J&J's entire history that actually gave Pie something to do. That being... I really like this iteration of Pie. Most likely because she's the main character of the short, but also because she interacts with people outside of Death Pact. Whoa! And I really like her interactions with Pie as well. The fight was really cool seeing as they're both technically Pie, except one of them has an E at the end. Needless to say, they could have made Pie an interesting character, but she was probably eliminated before they could do that. What did we learn about Pie? Well, she's boring as hell, that's for sure. She barely adds anything to the plot and mostly just stands around doing nothing. But as we saw in BFB 10 and 11, alongside the Pie vs. Pie short, Pie can be an interesting character. I think if she continued her path that she was on in BFB 11, she could have survived over a marker and maybe even remote. But that's a maybe. And that's basically it. If you watched it till the end, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video or analysis. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, see ya. You know what would be funny? If the first and last words were every single retrospective were the same. Death.